ओम गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः। One minute, it's very important time. ओम गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरु साक्षात् परम ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. I can hear Vedic chanting. True. Yeah, the Veda Vidyarthis, they are chanting there. It is a Gurukula, naturally. So Veda Vidyarthis keep chanting whole day. Veda mantras you hear. Any time in the day you hear. Okay, so we were discussing how Adhyasa in the Sugama, how Adhyasa is related to Vedanta. We told the Upanishads were simply told avidya, due to avidya there is samsara. That's all they referred. Due to avidya there is a jiva bhava, there is a samsara. So they did not, the Upanishads did not discuss any other details about avidya. Due to avidya there is karma, there is kartrutvam. So they say samsara is there due to adhyasa. That means avidya, according to Upanishads, seems to be a wrong understanding. That you feel a samsara in you, that you feel that you are a karta, that you feel that you are subject to suffering. All this feeling, this wrong thinking is avidya. And then vidya only removes it. So Upanishads are talking straight away that the samsara is appearing upon you, and by knowing it goes away. From this we can understand clearly, Upanishads are talking about only a wrong thinking, an assumption. Samsara is assumed, and assumption, by giving up the assumption, correcting the assumption, you become free. That's what they are talking. So, and later Swamiji discussed, there is no avidya that can go by knowledge other than adhyasa. That means, is there any kind of adhyasa, any other kind of, there is no another kind of avidya at all. all the avidya is there in everybody's life. So mainly it is a misunderstanding. So this avidya can go by knowledge. Therefore, tasmat sarvesham vedantanam atmaikatva vidya pratipatti. So all the Vedantas talk of only Atma Jnana, they don't do anything else. That means they also think that they give the right understanding of Atma. Since they are giving a right understanding of Atma, they are assuming that by this jnanam is addressing a wrong understanding of Atma, a misunderstanding Atma. The entire universe is a misunderstanding, like a dream. The entire dream is only a wrong thinking. So, that I am an individual, that there is a world around me, all this entire my body, mind, sense organs, individuality, all this is a wrong assumption. So Upanishads are only addressing this person who is under a wrong impression and trying to correct his vision about himself. That's what So considering the teaching of the Upanishads, we can see that avidya is only a misunderstanding and nothing else. Okay. So vidyayascha avidya vyapanayana vyatirekena. And the nature of knowledge is that it can't do anything except correcting a misunderstanding. So vidyayascha avidya vyapanayana vyatirekena krityantara abhavat. They have no other purpose. Jnanam can neither create something nor can destroy. Jnanam can neither destroy an existing thing nor can create a non-existing thing. Just like a light. Can the light create a non-existing thing? Or can it destroy the existing thing? When you switch on the light, it just shows whatever is there. Otherwise, if light starts changing things, nobody wants to have a light. Because if light starts changing a thing, you left a book here on the table before you went to bed, and by the time you wake up and you switch on, you wanted to see the book, you switch on, the book changes into something else. Would you use the light? If the light starts changing the things, then you can't afford to have a light. Okay. Light doesn't change things. Light just shows whatever they are as they are. Okay. Whatever is and as it is. Therefore, Jnanam can only show you what you really are. If I am really Brahman, it shows me. If I am not Brahman, it can't show me to be Brahman. Okay. Upanishads, however it tries, it can't change me to be somebody else. If I am already Brahman, and if I am not an individual, if I am not a suffering individual subject to time and conditions and all, subject to birth and death and pain and pleasure and suffering and all, if all this is not real me, thank God, you are free. You have a chance to become liberated. If all this were real, if samsara were real, your individuality were real, if your birth and death were real, if you are being subjected to sufferings and humiliations and all that were real, then by doing no amount of work you can get rid of samsara. But Upanishads have been telling you, tarati shokamatmavito brahma vidapnoti param. You take each Upanishad, you keep on watching. Each Upanishad has got one or two sent. Why one or two? More than one or two. They all talk of this knowledge, and you get liberated. Knowledge, you get liberated. See, I'll tell you. Kenopanishad. Nachediha vesid mahati vinashti ihached avedit. See, you know it, you become free. Kenopanishad says, Katopan, ekatvam anupashyatah, ko moha kashokah ekatvam anupashyatah. As you know the reality, where is shoka, where is moha? Ishavasya Upanishads. Kenopaths, just now I quoted. Mundaka says the same thing. Taittiriya says, Taratisho Brahmavidapnoti param. Then Chandogya says the same. Tarati Shokam Atmavit. All the Upanishads talk of the same thing. You know you become liberated. You know you become liberated. You know your real nature. That means if my real nature liberates me, knowing my real nature liberates me, then not knowing me as I am puts me in samsara. That means I know myself not as I am, but I am thinking what I am not. I am knowing myself as what I am not. If what you are not, naturally you are not that. You are only imagining. If you are not that, yet you are imagining yourself to be that, then that is a wrong thinking. That is a false knowledge. Then the false knowledge can only go away when you understand that that is not real you. That is not really you. Then you are free. So samsara is only thinking of what you are not. You are not samsari, but you think to be samsari. You are not subject to birth and death, but you think that I am subject to birth and death. You are not subject to pain and pleasure and suffering and all these various events, yet I think that I am subject to all these events, all these experiences. So you are only thinking that you are subjected to various experiences. It is only in your thinking. You are not really subjected to pain and pleasure, suffering and birth and death and all. Oh, if I am not really that, how lucky I am. If I am not really samsari, if I am not really subject to samsara, it is only my thought, then only you can only helped. Helped in what? I can give you, Shastra can give us a right perspective. Shastra can give us a right perspective, right way of looking, because you are looking at yourself in a wrong angle, wrong way. That wrong way, therefore, when you look at yourself wrong way, what you are not, you are thinking yourself to be that. You are thinking yourself to be that which you really are not. Okay? We are thinking about ourselves as something which we really are not. I am not samsari, but I think myself to be samsari. That means I have a notion. I have an assumption. I have an understanding about myself, which I am not. Not only I am not that, but I don't want to be that. Two things are here. I don't want to be samsari, and I am not really samsari. Yet I think that I am samsari. What a sadness. It is sad, at the same time you are lucky also that it is not your real nature. It is only a wrong thinking. It is only a misunderstanding. Suppose somebody abused you, somebody scolded you, somebody robbed all your money. You get angry with him. Later you come to know, no, he didn't rob your money. He didn't take away your money. Your money is lying there as it is. No, you have misunderstood. He has not taken your money. He has not abused you. He has not hurt you. He has not worked against you. When you come to know, will you be happy or not? Your money is not lost. He has not talked ill of you. He has not did long propaganda against you. Then I only misunderstood. You feel happy that, oh, unnecessarily I have done it. But anyway, I am lucky that my money is not lost. I have not lost anything. I am very happy. I have got everything with myself alone. My valuable things are with me. I only misunderstood that I lost my valuable things. Don't you feel happy for that? Similarly, Adhyasa, avidya is misunderstanding. Okay. Adhyasa is misunderstanding. Avidya is misunderstanding. What a great blessing. If samsara was real, my God, what can anybody do? If samsara was real, nobody can do anything. Because what is a fact, nobody can change. Tentatively, they can make you to forget it. Tentatively, you can suppress a problem, but you can't totally eliminate the problem. You can cover up the problem. You can cover up the problem, you can suppress the problem tentatively, but any suppression is only an artificial making. Anything done artificially can only tentatively hide it. If you are really suffering from a problem, tentatively you can hide it, tentatively you can forget it, but again and again it comes back. Because that is your nature. Where will you go? Wherever you go, you carry your samsara with you. If samsara was real, not if samsara were real, wherever you go, it is with you, you can't get rid of. Okay? Upanishad says, by knowing your real nature, you will be free. How can simply by knowing you become free? Because you are already free. What does the knowing mean? The teaching only teaches you what you already are. If I am liberated, it can teach you that you are liberated. If you are not liberated, Upanishad can't teach you, oh, you are liberated, you are liberated. But you are not, yet I am teaching you, you are liberated. What fool can teach like that? You are not liberated. You are not free by your real nature. Yet I'll teach you, you are liberated, you are liberated, you are liberated. What joy you get in that? What benefit you will get by telling false things which you are not? If you are really liberated, then I tell you that you are real. If I can awaken you to your real nature, that really works. My teaching works. You also will be happy. By just knowing it, just by discovering. Knowing means by intuiting, by discovering. Discovering means what? You look at yourself in a proper perspective, proper angle. In that angle, you come to see what you really are. Okay? That is a way of liberating yourself. In fact, nobody can give you liberation. That's because you are already liberated. I can only remind you that you are liberated, don't worry. I'm not giving you any liberation. Nobody can give you. No guru can give you, no shastra can give you. Since you are already liberated, I can only remind you. I can only help you to look at yourself in a right angle so that you come to realize, oh, you are already safe and happy. You are happy. You are free from all insecurities, all worries, all tensions, all worries, all tensions, all fears. You are free from all fear, all insecurity, all worries, all tensions. There is nothing you need to worry. You are totally free and relaxed and happy. Even this thought of it makes me little happy. Even before I discover, even the thought that I am going to discover myself to be Brahman, I am going to discover myself to be free being, the very thought that you are going to discover, that you are interested in moksha, itself makes you greatly relieved of tensions. That you are a Mukta Purusha, you are going to discover, and the Upanishad is teaching you. Come on, listen. You are going to discover. It is a great possibility. The very possibility of your being liberated gives you great relief. Okay? The very possibility of being liberated is a great joy. Okay? The very possibility of being liberated is a great joy. And if you discover, discovery means what? How do you discover? By just looking at yourself. But I have been looking. Oh, you're looking wrongly. If you are looking at yourself, yet you don't find yourself free, that means your very look is a binding look, not a liberating look. It is a binding perspective, not a liberating perspective. Okay, you have a perspective, a wrong perspective, which is always showing you as a wrong person, a bound person, a samsari, subject to birth and death and time and place or suffering and all, worries and all. Therefore, Upanishads always talk of freeing you by knowledge. Upanishad says, come on, learn that you are free. Learn that I am teaching you. When Upanishads throughout teaching you knowledge alone, then what else can you think of as an avidya? Then what else could be avidya? Avidya could be only not knowing or wrongly knowing, that's all. Then ajnanam can only mean that you have understood wrongly, you have assumed yourself wrongly. Why did I assume? That nobody knows. That nobody can find out. Because if you try to find out, you will be free from assumption. You don't find out how the assumption has come, because it has not come. There is no assumption. It is a wrong assumption, is a wrong assumption. Okay? Therefore, the moment you question, you try to look at it, you feel that you are free from all assumptions. Therefore, nobody can find it. The wrong assumption continues only under non-inquiry, non-investigation. When you don't investigate alone, there is a wrong assumption. Samsara is there as long as you don't investigate. As long as you don't take seriously and observe yourself and watch yourself, inquire into yourself. As long as you don't inquire, don't observe, don't watch, don't investigate, samsara seems to be continuing. Samsara is not there. It seems to be there. It seems to be there because until you don't question it, until you don't inquire, don't investigate, don't try to watch and observe, you just superficially take it for granted. Superficial. As long as you remain superficial, the assumption that there is something continues. Okay. Therefore, talking of Adhyasa, discussing Adhyasa right in the beginning of Brahma Sutra Bhashyam, or as a prefatory Bhashyam, in the preface of is consistent, is very right, and is appropriate. Purvapakshi was objecting, why Adhyasa should discuss here? What relation Adhyasa has got with Vedanta? Vedanta has got everything to do with discussing Adhyasa alone. Otherwise, what else Vedanta has to do? What else Vedanta does, and what else you also need? What else we need? We have got, that is the only problem we have, and that is the only solution we need. What a beautiful thing. Okay, let us continue. In the 62nd passage, the last paragraph is remaining. We shall continue. Yadyapi jnana bhavaha samshaya jnanam. Now, next point. Now, if you watch our life, what is ignorance? You just look at it. What is ignorance? When you don't know something, you call it ignorance. I ask you, do you know some Russian language or French language or some language? Totally unknown. Chinese. You say, no, I don't know. Are you sure? Yes, I am sure I don't know. That means not knowing something is ignorance, a simple absence of knowledge. But you know that there is such a thing called Russian. There is such a thing called Chinese, Spanish. That there is such a language called Latin, or let us say, there is such a language called Latin we know, but I don't know the Latin. Okay? So this simple not knowing something, absence of knowledge is ignorance. We find it is common in our life. Second thing is samshaya jnanam. When you are doubtful about something, not sure of something, maybe, may not be, this or something else, whether it is this or it is opposite of it. Okay, or whether the thing itself is or is not. These are all assumption. These are all doubts. Doubt is either this way or that way. Maybe, may not be. So in doubt, you have no clarity, clear understanding of everything. Therefore, doubt is also ignorance. Absence of knowledge, not knowing is ignorance. Not knowing is one form of ignorance. Doubt is another form of ignorance. Misunderstanding is another form of ignorance. That's all. This is all we have. We don't have any fourth form. All the ignorance is found in our life only in three forms. In three forms, there is no fourth form of ignorance. Okay? So, yadyapi jnana bhavaha samshaya jnanam avidya shabdavachye eva vidya nivartye cha. Therefore, when you know something, your absence of knowledge, your not knowing gets corrected. Once you learn what you did not know before, then your not knowing that I did not know goes away. When you have a doubt about something, after correcting your doubt, after knowing it clearly, your doubt goes away. Therefore, jnanam can remove not only misunderstanding. Jnanam can correct not only misunderstanding, it can correct your not knowing, it can correct your doubt. Therefore, we have to say Ajnanam consists of in three forms of not knowing, doubt, and a misunderstanding. Okay, yet Swamiji says here, or Guruji Satchidanandendra Swamiji, Tathapi Kayachit Pranadya. By some way, Viparita Grahana Rupam, Adhyasam Anantarbhavya, Tayor Anartha Hetutvam Nopapadyate iti, Adhyasameva Vedantaha, Avidyatvena Upadishantiti, Vacho Yuktir Bhashya Karanamiti Dhyeyam. If avidya consists in three forms, avidya comprises in three forms, three just now I mentioned, not knowing, doubt, and misunderstanding, wrong knowledge or assumption. Okay. So, if avidya is in three forms, why Bhashyakara says Adhyasa alone is avidya? By Adhyasa he means misunderstanding. Why he was talking of misunderstanding alone is Adhyasa? Why not the other two? Okay, this doubt comes. That's because the other two presuppose misunderstanding alone. The other two don't exist outside misunderstanding. That is the reason why Bhashyakara talks misunderstanding alone as primarily avidya. That alone is the basic avidya. Tathapi Kayachit Pranadya. By some reason, in some manner we can show you Viparita Grahana Rupam Adhyasam Anantarbhavya. That means Adhyasa underlies even non-knowing. When you take it, what you say that I don't know something. Not knowing involves Adhyasa in it, misunderstanding in it. Doubt also involves Adhyasa in it. So without including, without Adhyasa underlying other two can't exist. Therefore, Adhyasa is common to all the forms of avidya. Misunderstanding is the only avidya in which all other things are found. Therefore, Tayor Anartha Hetutvam Nopapadyate. So, without Adhyasa, other two can't create much problems. Not knowing generally, in worldly sense, let us take it. In worldly sense, when you don't know something, you remain innocent. Baby doesn't know, but baby is not harmful because it is innocent. When you don't know something, ignorant of something, you are not much problem. When you only think wrong about somebody, then it creates a problem. Either you hate him, you get angry, either you fear him or hate him. Then you start doing something against him. Because if you think that he is harmful. Okay. But if you don't know, just remain where you are. So, in the worldly knowledge, in the worldly sense, because this ignorance we are talk of two level. World about the worldly objects, another is about Atma. So, each time we have to bring these two things. So, just for sake of argument, we are bringing the worldly things. And ultimately we talk of the Atma. That we come at the later stage. First we are talking about the worldly ignorance. In worldly ignorance, let us see, not knowing doesn't create much problem. Problem means sometimes not knowing also creates problem. Without knowing, you go and eat something, and you without knowing that something somewhere you touch fire and you get burnt. So that also there is some misunderstanding. But anyway, not knowing is not much problem in general unless it happens to be a misunderstanding. Okay. You touch the fire, baby touches the fire because baby thinks that it is very red and ripe like a fruit, it is very attractive. Baby wants to touch it. Have you seen? These days babies never see fire. What is fire? Okay. We used to see directly lamp and fire in our childhood. The fire would look so attractive, so shining beautifully. The babies tried to hold the fire. The lamp we were using for doing homework in our school days, the small children, babies, would try to hold the bulb, hot bulb of the lamp. The lamp they want to hold. I would try to prevent them hold their hand. The baby doesn't listen, screams, cries, and wants to hold it. I would go and tell Amma, Amma, this fellow doesn't listen. He wants to hold the lamp. Amma would laugh and tell, okay, every baby does that. Let him hold. Once it holds, he will understand it. No, I told, no, his fingers will be burnt. I try to forcibly hold his hand. He screams and he shouts and he wants to hold it. What can you do? He thinks that it is a very nice fruit and he will be very happy with it. That is his misunderstanding. But once he holds it, he will understand, he will never touch again. From a distance, he would come while doing my homework. He would come and sit there and he will say, looking at the lamp, ha, he would call. That means his way of telling that it is very hot. Ha, he would say. Yes, I told you in the beginning not to touch it. Now you learnt a lesson. The baby learnt a lesson after touching it once. So, ignorance most of the time is harmless. But misunderstanding is definitely harmful. Therefore, in the worldly sense. But in Vedantic, that's why Shankaracharya calls Adhyasa is avidya. But if you look at in Vedantic way, in Vedanta it is Adhyasa alone. There is no such thing called simple ignorance, simple not knowing, and simple doubt. Because it is ignorance that makes you an individual. It is an ignorance that makes you an individual. As an individual, you don't know something. Even to be ignorant of something, even to simply not know something, you have to be an individual first. And that as an individuality itself is due to Adhyasa. Therefore, even in not knowing, even in doubt, misunderstanding is underlying. Therefore, misunderstanding alone is a primary Adhyasa. Bhashyakara talks of, nothing wrong in it. Therefore, what Bhashyakara says is right. Sachidanandendra Swamiji is properly defending Shankara Bhashya. Vacho yuktir bhashyakaranamiti dhyayam. Therefore, we have to keep in mind that Vedanta's talk of Adhyasa alone is primarily Adhyasa, avidya. Okay, now proceeding to the next. Now, Bhashyakara himself tells elsewhere in Gita Bhashya like this. Tamaso hi pratyayaha avaranatmakatvat. See, avidya is only a pratyaya, a thought of ignorance, a thought of misunderstanding, a thought of darkness it is. Tamasa means darkness. Avidya is a thought of darkness. Okay, tamaso hi pratyayaha avaranatmakatvat avidya viparita grahaha kaha. Avidya makes me either misunderstand, means avidya is in the form of either misunderstanding or doubt or not knowing. Okay. Let it be in any of the three forms. All these things go away with the knowledge. Therefore, viveka prakasha bhave tadabhavat. When there is a viveka, knowledge, none of these three forms of avidya exist. All the three go away. Okay. Therefore, iti avidyaya stritvam chedam apatata eva. Okay. After showing clearly that first argument is even the other two avidyas presuppose Adhyasa. Presupposing Adhyasa alone, other two avidyas are found. That's one point. Second point, he quoted Bhashyakara's own statement talking that Adhyasa is primary. Then the next argument, you told that there are three forms of Adhyasa. There are no three forms. It is one alone. It is the only one misunderstanding alone that is talked of as three. Because the number three is within Adhyasa. He says, avidyayas tritvam che, that avidyas, the forms of avidya look like three itself is superficial. It is again a superficial thinking alone. But if you just go deeply into it, there is no three. Because the very number three is due to Adhyasa. The very number three is due to Adhyasa. Sankhyayaha api avidya kalpitatvat. Even Sankhya is due to Adhyasa, due to misunderstanding. Atayeva ekaiva avidya rupatrayavattvena avabhasate. There is only one avidya, that is Adhyasa. appears as other two. Okay. For this, in support of this, Swamiji is quoting Sureshwaracharya's Vartika. What is it? Ajnanam samshayatvanno mithyagnanat tathaivacat tayostattva vivakshayam ajnanam tattvamuchyate. But Sureshwaracharya says, Ajnanam means when you don't know, when you misunderstand, when you have a doubt. That is Ajnanam. But Tayos Tattva Vivakshaya. Out of these three forms, if you watch into them, observe, if you go little more intimately into them, Vakshaya, Ajnanam Tattva Muchyate. A simple not knowing is the root, is the basis of other two, he says. Here Sureshwara is taking totally opposite view to Shankaracharya. Shankaracharya takes Adhyasa is primarily avidya, but Sureshwara is taking Jnana Bhava, absence of knowledge, not knowing is the root of avidya. Okay. Having said this shloka, Swamiji interprets, see, Jnana bhavasyaiva pradhanyena varnanam tu vartike kevalam mithya jnanasyaiva pramana nirasyatvam bravatam bhattanam duragraha nirakaranartamityanyade tatu. The Bhatta, Sureshwaracharya, was keeping Kumarla Bhatta's views in view. Kumarla Bhatta does agraha that misunderstanding simply won't go unless you have avidya, unless you have ignorance, not knowing it. Not knowing is the cause of it, he says. Okay, just to accommodate as a concessional answer, okay, he accepted it. If mithya jnana doesn't go away, mithya jnana goes away by only knowing the fact. So just to accommodate the stubborn duragrahi andre stubborn, adamant, just to accommodate, just to give a concession to the adamant Kumarla Bhatta, Sureshwara told that, but he really didn't mean it, because in another place in Sureshwara, having talked about these three forms of ignorance, that is not knowing, doubt and misunderstanding. Having referred to these three, he says, Mithya Jnana alone is the primary. In another shloka, he says clearly, it is due to Mithya Jnana other two forms appear. Tayostattva Vivakjnanam, Mithya Jnanam is the only thing. Whatever is avidya, the same thing is Mithya Jnanam only, he says elsewhere. Therefore, Sureshwara also, at another place, he came to the same point of Shankaracharya. Therefore, there is agreement between Sureshwara and Shankara. So, nothing to worry. Okay, come to the next point. Adhyasa varnanasya sutrena sangatihi. These are all technical points. Okay, or shall we do it quickly? These are all why technical. There is nothing to do manana in this. These are all bookish explanations. In Vedanta, two things are. One is vichara into anubhava, atma anubhava. Second is book-based arguments. So these are all book-based arguments. Book-based arguments look boring, at least for me, because I am never interested in scholarship. They are all boring topics. They interest certain people. The real interesting point is your Atma Anubhava. So anyway, a few points when we are discussing a book. So we need to discuss these few points also. Let us complete them. Okay, I think we will complete this paragraph. There is nothing much. These are all superficial points. Next point, 64th point is somewhat better. Okay, we'll discuss this. We'll quickly finish it. Sutras. Now, how is, earlier we discussed so far in the 62nd point, how is, I think, did we discuss this point? I wonder whether we discussed this point. Oh, it looks we have discussed already. Unnecessarily repeating. But how did I get a wrong point that? Anyway, I'll just quickly do it. Now, Sutra Bhashya. How Adhyasa is relevant to Sutra Bhashya was discussed. Now, how Adhyasa is related to Sutras. That means, did Sutrakara himself, Sutrakara Badarayana, did Sutrakara himself kept Adhyasa in view while writing sutras? Yes, because Athato Brahma Jignasa, because in the first sutra, Athato Brahma Jignasa, now here inquiry into Brahman in order to know it, inquiry into Brahman in order to know it is Jnana Nivartyatvena Jnanasya Sochitatvat. He is showing clearly only to know Brahman. That means Jnanam alone can give you Brahman. That means Jnanam alone can remove ignorance of it. Adhyasat riktasya cha jnanasya nasti sambhavaha. Sutrakara also is talking about simply Jnanam alone, is not talking of anything else. So he also implies indirectly, he also implies that Adhyasa misunderstanding is the only avidya. तद्गुणसारत्वात् तद्व्यपदेश प्राज्ञवत् इति अंतःकरणगुणाध्यासकृतमेव आत्मनः संसारित्वं न स्वतः तद्गुणसारत्वात् तद्व्यपदेशः. In this sutra, Atma is talked about as a guna, only gunasaratvat, gunadhyasas. The gunas, qualities are imposed upon the Atman. That's why Atma looks like having gunas. Gunas of what? Gunas of kartrutvam, bhoktrutvam, samsara, sukha, dukkha and all that. Atma appears to be endowed with qualities simply because of qualities are imposed on. The Sutrakara said that gunasaratvat tadvyapadeshaha. Gunasaratvat. Only because of gunas are imposed on him, he is called Jiva. Otherwise, he is a prajna only. So even Sutrakara is talking of gunas are not really, do not belong to him. Due to association of the gunas alone, you are talking of Atma undergoing samsara. So even Sutrakara is talking of Adhyasa is avidya. Okay. Yat punaha janmadhyasya yataha shastra yonitvat iti jagat janmadi karanasya iva parameshwarasya shastra pramanakatvam. Again, Atma is, Paramatma is only Srishti Sthiti Laya Karanam, and this is known only through Shastra. Again he is talking of Jnanam alone. Tatra Janmader Vastavikatva Samsutrana Bhavat. Srishti Sthiti Layas are really happening nowhere, it is told. Karanatvena cha akadashu yatha vyapadishtokte इति सत्यपि कार्य विषये विगाने कारणत्वेन च आकादाशि यथा व्यपदिष्टोक्तेः. Now in another sutra, Srishti is talked about not to prove that there is a Srishti. Karanatveena cha akadadishi yatha vyapadishtata. So only to prove that Paramatma is the cause, Srishti is talked about. That means the entire world is born of Paramatma. It means they are still Paramatma only. They never became separate from Paramatma. That's all. So even the Srishti, purpose of Srishti is also to show that the Srishti was not an event that ever happened. Okay. Srishti is never an event that ever happened. It is never an event. So, yatha vyapadishtokte, therefore, Srishti is only to show that there is only Brahman. From this also it shows that even Sutrakara, we are only quoting sutras without Bhashya, simply sutras. On the strength of the sutras, we are trying to show how Ajnanam is the only problem, Jnanam is the solution. Okay, Karya Vishaya Vigyane Prativedantam Karanaswarupasya Ekarupasya Oktiriti Brahmaswarupa Matre Shastra Tatparya Kathana. So, the various methods of Srishti, the various methods of Srishti that are talked about in the Upanishads are not real. That's why if the Srishti was a real event, how can you talk in various ways? Upanishads could not have talked of various methods of Srishti, various processes of Srishti. None of the process is true because there is no Srishti. Snake is never born. By what method, by what process the snake is born? Snake itself never existed. Where is the question of birth? Snake never existed. How can you talk of the process of production of snake? Similarly here, okay, Shastra Tatparyam is only to show that there is only rope and no snake. There is only Brahman and there is no world at all. When there is no world, how can you talk of the process of creation of the world? People think that world is there, world is there, world is there, and world never existed. Even when you think world is there, it never is there. See, simple example you see. Do you see that the dream world ever existed? Some people say dream world existed while experiencing, but when I wake up, the dream world doesn't exist. It ceases to be. How can the world which has really existed come to cease? It can't cease. If the world has really existed, it will continue. It can't cease. Therefore, the dream world has not ceased to exist on waking up. The dream world never existed even while you are seeing it. Even while you are experiencing the dream world, it never existed. Your very experiencing that I am undergoing itself is a bhranti. Because the dream never existed even while you are experiencing. This is the beauty. That means there is only a thought that I am experiencing a state, that's all. Except thought, there is no world. World never exists except you are thinking about the world. As Ramana Maharshi would say very nicely. And when people say, when Ramana Maharshi would say that you are the Atman, free from samsara, then they would ask that, then what about the world? What about the world? Then Ramana Maharshi would ask, does world say that I am existing here? Does world say that I am existing here? It is you are telling. It is you see the world. Then you should tell me how come you see the world? You should tell me how come you see the world. Does world come and tell you that I am existing? That means world doesn't prove that world is not a proof of itself. Does the world prove that it exists? There is a thought of the world. There is an experience of the world. That's all. The experience of the world is only a thought of the world. Except that thought, you have no other way of proving that the world exists. Except the thought of the world, except the perception of the world, you have no other way to prove that the world exists. The way your mind is perceiving, you perceive that there is a world. It is only a matter of perception. Sorry, the stone paperweight fell down. So it's only a matter of perception, nothing else. Okay. Then another sutra, Tadananyatvam arambana shabdadibhyaha. This sutra says, Karya is ananya with the Karana. Karya Jagat, entire Jagat has been, it is, and it will be. The Abharanam, the necklace has been gold, it is gold, it will remain gold. There is no such thing called a necklace other than gold. What is necklace? There is no necklace. It has never existed. It is only a gold. So therefore, all the entire world is nothing but Brahman only. It never existed apart from Brahman, away from Brahman, nor is existing now, nor will ever exist in future. If world is only a thought, there is only Brahman. Okay. Tad ananyatvam arambana shabdadibhyaha. This sutra also says. Then coming to another sutra, Tattu samanvayat. All the Upanishads talk of this alone, that Brahman alone is the truth. Okay, Vedanta Vakyanam, Tadgata Padanam cha Brahma Swarupa Matre Samanvayam Bravatam. All the Upanishads are ultimately, eventually pointing out Brahman as the truth. That's all. They have nothing else to teach. Upanishads don't teach anything else. People think that there are so many topics discussed in the Upanishads. They are not the discussed. They are the tools used in order to convey that you are Brahman. See, whether you are teaching those things or you are using as tools, people should make the difference. People should see the difference between what is used as a tool and what is really meant to be conveyed. Upanishads are trying to convey what? Only Brahman. But they seem to talk of many things, Jagradavastha, Swapnavastha. They are all tools. Jagradavastha, Swapnavastha, Srishti and all that is only tools. Tools means they are instruments used, they are parikaras. They are instruments used to communicate only one thing, that there is only Brahma and nothing else. People think by reading Upanishads on their own that there are so many topics discussed in Upanishads. They are not discussing many. They are only touching the many topics to convey one. They may touch many but convey one. Difference. Upanishads may talk of many things, but they reveal one. They mean one. They intend to teach only one. They are all tools to communicate that. Their communication is only one thing, that you are Brahman and nothing else. Nothing else exists apart from Brahman. Okay, Tattu Samanvayat, Jagat Karanam Apepta. So even the Jagat Karanam, the teaching that Brahman is the cause of the world, even that is aimed at teaching the Brahmatvam Advitiyam, not any other worldly relationship. Therefore, we generally say sannyasis don't have any worldly relationship and have only Vedantic, only Adhyatmic relationship. That will bless you. Because whenever you think of a guru, you don't think of any worldly matters. When you think of guru, you don't think of, because when he doesn't engage in worldly activity, you also don't relate to him through worldly matter like economics, money, lending and borrowing and all that. Then you only think of your guru as only another banker only. So if the lending and borrowing, all those things don't exist, then you talk of only spiritual things, then you see him only in a clear light. So vivakshitamiti vaktum ayuktatvat ashabdamasparshamarupamanyayam jagat karanam, that the Paramatma is creating the world, is a creator of the world, Upanishad never teaches. Because Upanishad is using it as a tool, that the Paramatma created the world is a tool. Is a tool, is not a aim of teaching. It is not a aim to be conveyed. Okay, because the same Upanishad says at another place, Ashabdamasparashamaropamavyayam sayesha neti nitya. It negates everything. Athato adesha neti neti nahi etasmaditi netyanyat paramasti. Everything it negates. When it negates, even it negates the karanatvam also. There is neither karanam nor karyam, there is only non-dual Brahman. Okay, so all these tools that are talked about are used only to know Brahman. Tejasa saumya sungena sanmoola manvecha iti srishti vakyānam brahma pratipatyartha shravanāccha jagat karanatva madhyaropya tadapavadenaiva brahma lakshaitumishtam sutrakarasya ityavagamyate. Even Sutrakara aims to teach clearly, use all these tools, that the Srishti, Avasthas, and then Panchakosha, all these things are only tools to communicate Brahman alone. So Brahma Pratipatyartam. Okay, we finished the 63 point because there is nothing in it, we know it already. Now the 64th, some good points are there. We will discuss in the next class. Ramanuja Madhva's argument. Ramanuja Sampradaya, Madhva Sampradaya, they talk of Atma, Avidya, Vidya slightly differently. They say, how is the samsara bandhanam? Vedanta says that samsara bandhanam is only a wrong thinking. So you correct your wrong thinking, you are free from samsara. But whereas they say samsara is not simply a misunderstanding, is not simply due to ignorance, it is due to something else. That means they mean samsara is a real. Oh, we already told you, if it is a real, it is going to be a big problem. But anyway, let us raise their arguments. First, Madhva's argument. So, Madhva Sampradaya, there is a Nyaya Sudha is a Grantha, written by Jayatirtha, I think Jayatirtha only. No, Shriman Nyaya Sudha. Jayatirtha, no, I'll refer and tell you. The book is here. So, Nyaya Sudha is, I think, as far as I remember, Jayatirtha is an important Vyakhyata. Like Anandagiri is a commentator on Shankara Bhashyam. Vedanta Deshika is a commentator on Ramanuja Bhashyam. And Jayatirtha is a commentator on Madhva Bhashyam. Okay? Jayatirtha is for Madhva Sampradaya. Anandagiri is for Shankara Sampradaya. And Vedanta Deshika for Ramanuja Sampradaya. They are the commentator upon the primary bhashyas of that tradition. So, okay, here, Nyaya from the Nyaya Sudha, some arguments are raised from Nyaya Sudha, how they present as samsara to be. How they present, they say samsara is really there. Why do you say it is an imagination? No, it is real. He gives his own argument. To this Swamiji replies, how samsara is not real? If it real, Jnanam can't do, Upanishads would not have taught Jnanam. But Upanishads taught simple Jnanam. That means only Jnanam is enough. If jnanam is enough, then adhyasa alone is a problem. That means only misunderstanding is a problem. Wrongly you are thinking that you are samsari, otherwise nobody is. Neither you nor me nor anybody on the earth. Nobody is samsari. That samsaritvam is only a thinking. Okay. So we'll discuss in the next class Nyaya Sudha's argument, how he defends that samsara is real. It is very interesting. And later how Swamiji replies. Let us see. Then the next point is Ramanuja Sampradaya. After explaining these two, I think main point is over. Then we'll go to the next point. Atma ekatva vidya pratipattaye. Atma ekatvam, when we told how it is ekatvam. ಈಗ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಫ್ಯೂ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ರಿಯಲಿ ಬ್ಯೂಟಿಫುಲ್ ವೇದಾಂತಿಕ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅಲೋನ್. ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಹೌ ಮೆನಿ ಆರ್ ದೇರ್? 1, 2, 3. ಹೌ ಆತ್ಮ ಏಕತ್ವಂ, ಚಿನ್ಮಾತ್ರ ವಸ್ತು, and all the Vedantas have uniform thing. That's all. After this, 1 or 2 doubts about avidya and Jivan Mukti state, how Jnani lives. A few points are there. I think with these things, Sugama concludes. Let us hope to finish before our Chaturmasya. Chaturmasya begins, I think I'll do that. I'll finish it. Otherwise it is dragging on and on and on. Okay, Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namah. Harihi Om Tat Sat.